Hi friends, today I am participating in the Look for Yet Less challenge. This challenge is created by Yami from the Latina Next Door, and this month she is co-hosting with Kristen from Kristen's Chaotic Life.
For this Look for Less, I'm going to be using this blank canvas. I'm going to be using some matte black paint and matte white paint, and then some gloss black. I'm going to be using some, I don't have it right in front of me right this minute, but I'm going to be using some parchment paper to trace my state out of this atlas as a template. Now, the original look that I'm trying to copy was actually a piece of wood, so it had a wood grain appearance, but I don't have any wood and I really don't want to spend a lot of money, and I don't want anything that's too heavy because where I'm going to be hanging this, it needs to be lightweight. So I muddled around and thought of different ways that I could try to make a wood appearance on this canvas, and I really can't. I'm not an artist. I cannot recreate wood. So what I'm going to do, and so it'll be just a slightly different, well, it might be quite a bit different than the original, but it will be similar to the original. I'm going to make a light gray paint with the white and the black, and I'm just going to paint this canvas a light gray color, and then I'm going to use the gloss black to paint my silhouette of my state. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and get started mixing the paint and get this canvas painted. I have one coat on here, and I'm going to go ahead and let this dry completely, and then I'll decide if it needs a second coat, depending on how well it covers. It's hard to tell when it's still wet if you've got a good coverage or not. So while this is drying, I'm going to go ahead and start working on tracing out my state. So let me get this moved out of the way and we'll set up for the next part of this project. So for those of you who don't know, I am from Indiana, and so I've got the Indiana State page, and I'm going to take a piece of this parchment paper and I'm going to trace the state on this parchment paper. Have it traced, and I didn't, some of these down here, I didn't go into every tiny little crevice of the border. Just wanted the basic outline of the state. That would just make it more challenging to trace and paint later. Now then, I'm going to find where I live, and I'm going to put a heart shape. This is where I live. Just gonna hand draw it, and then I'll cut that out. And I haven't decided if I want to just let the gray poke through the heart like it is in the original, or if I want to paint the heart red. I haven't quite decided yet. I will figure that out when I get to it. So the next step is I'm going to just take my scissors and I'm going to cut this shape out. When I cut it out, I even made the bottom portion rounded off just a little bit more. I didn't go into those tiny little areas. The southern border of Indiana is a river, so that's why it's so winding. It's the Ohio River. So I didn't follow the river exactly. The canvas is dry, and I did wind up putting a second coat on it. You could just kind of see the canvas through one coat. So I went ahead and put a second coat on, and it is pretty much completely dry. There might be a couple spots that are a little bit tacky yet, but I think it'll be okay. I'm putting this template on the canvas, and I'm going to make sure that it is where I want it. I want it a little bit off center because I'm going to be writing the word home along here. Now what I'm going to do is take this black gloss paint, and I'm going to carefully paint around the outside of the tracing, and then I'll take a bigger brush and I'm going to go ahead and paint the entire state black so that it looks like a silhouette. I put 2 coats of the black gloss on there, and then as you can see, I did decide to go ahead and paint the heart over my hometown red because I do like pops of red in my decor, and so I thought that would look cute. And then on this piece of parchment paper, I wrote out the word home. I practiced it a bunch of different times, and this is the best that I came up with. I'm going to take a pencil and rub the back of it and then place it on here however I want it and then trace over it. And I don't know if I'm going to use paint or if I'm going to use a fine tip Sharpie marker. My hands aren't very steady sometimes, so we'll just see. But I'm going to go ahead and get this traced on to the canvas. It's all done, and as you saw in that last clip, I did end up painting the home on there. I just decided I wanted it to be a gloss finish, just like the silhouette. Now I'm going to let this dry completely. It's pretty much dry, but it's still a little bit tacky in a few spots. So I'm going to let this completely dry, and then I'm going to use some of this ribbon to hot glue a hanger on the back, and then I'm going to get this hung where I'm going to hang it, and when I have it all hung up and where I'm going to display it, I'll bring you back. There it is where I decided to display it. I have it hanging off of the chicken wire frame that I made in another Look for Less challenge. I will link that video if you haven't seen how I did the other frame. But I have really enjoyed that chicken wire frame, being able to display other things on top of it, kind of layering my art. And so that's what I've done with this Indiana silhouette sign, displaying where I live in Indiana, approximately anyway. I Hope you enjoyed this video. I want to thank Yami for hosting this challenge once again, and I also want to thank her co-host Kristen, and I will have their channels and the playlist linked in the description box below.
As you can see in this side-by-side comparison, mine is not exactly like theirs, but I did get a lot of inspiration from looking at what they did. So here you can see a side-by-side comparison of the price. Theirs was $44.99. Mine cost a total of $3. The canvas was $2.50. The black glossy paint was 50 cents. Everything else was zero because it was things I already had in my stash. So we have a savings of $41.99.
Thanks so much for watching, friends, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.